DTG or DTFlex? What's the difference and which one actually makes sense for your brand? If you're doing print on demand and staring at these options thinking, cool, but what does this actually mean? You're not alone. In this video, I'm breaking down the two main apparel printing methods that you'll see at Printful, DTG, which is direct to garment, and DTFlex, which is their newer direct to film style option. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly which one to use, when to use it, and why it matters for your designs. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jay, and I've been selling t-shirts on Etsy and Amazon since 2013 with POD, and through COVID, I had my own print shop, so I likely have a bit more knowledge on today's topic than most. So let's start with DTG. DTG stands for direct to garment, and that's exactly what it sounds like. The easiest way to picture DTG is like an inkjet printer for paper, but it's for shirts. Your design is printed directly onto the fabric using water-based CMYK inks. There's no film, there's no transfer, the ink goes straight onto the garments. So on white or very light colored shirts, there's no white underbase needed at all. The CMYK inks are translucent, so they soak right into the cotton fibers, to the point where, as you can see here, you can barely feel the print. It's sometimes not even at all, like in this example. This is where DTG really shines. The result is super soft, muted, breathable, and almost like the design is dyed right into the shirt. That worn in, washed 100 times look, that's DTG on a light garment. And this is honestly my personal favorite look. It's very vintagey, very understated, muted, and it feels great to wear. DTG on dark garments. Now, DTG works a little bit differently on dark colored garments. And this is an important part that a lot of people don't understand when they're creating their designs. Because DTG uses water-based inks, those inks are naturally translucent, meaning you can kind of see through them a little bit with a bit of a tint of whatever color it is. So if you tried to print yellow ink directly onto a dark gray or black shirt without the white underneath, the result would kind of look like if you took a yellow highlighter and dragged it across the fabric. As you can imagine, it wouldn't really show up. So on darker garments, DTG uses a white underbase first. That white layer acts like a primer, allowing the CMYK colors printed on top of it to actually appear more vibrant and readable. Sort of like if you had to repaint over a black wall in your house, you'd really want to give it a good coat of the white as a primer before going over it with another really bright color. Because of that white underbase, DTG prints on dark shirts have a slightly more noticeable feel. They have a bit more structure to them compared to DTG on white. Still soft, but you can feel it more than you can on a light shirt. Even so, DTG on dark garments is still not as substantial as DTFlex, which we'll get to in a minute. Now, where DTG starts to struggle a little is that it can lose some vibrancy on very dark garments or thicker fabrics sometimes, and heavy hoodies and sweatshirts that have a higher polyester content in them. The ink is still soaking into the fibers, and on thicker material, that can kind of mute the colors a little bit, maybe a bit more than you want. So DTG is fantastic for light cotton tees, vintage style designs, especially the stuff I do with a lot of distressing in them, photorealistic images, and gradients and fades too. But if your goal is bold, high contrast, punchy in the face kind of color on thick garments, that's where DTFlex comes in. And DTFlex is Printful's premium direct to film style of printing method. Instead of printing straight onto the garment, your design is first printed onto a special film using the same water-based inks and a light adhesive powder. That film is then heat pressed onto the fabric. The key difference here is that DTFlex sits on top of the garment rather than somewhat soaking into it. As you can see here with this sample, sharper edges, more saturated color, clean, crisp lines, and no kind of glue or tack feel. No rough texture, just a smooth finished print. Why DTFlex pops more? Because DTFlex is a transfer, it's more vibrant, more consistent across different fabric types, and better suited for thicker and darker garments, which makes it perfect for hoodies, sweatshirts, especially poly blends, and designs where color accuracy really matters. That printed on feel you'll notice with DTFlex is intentional. It's what allows the colors to stay bold and punchy even after repeated washing. DTFlex also holds up super well over time because the print layer is elastic and flexible. One thing to be mindful of though is that very small intricate DTFlex details can be more prone to lifting, so you'll probably want to have a larger area of a solid design for it to perform best. When used properly, DTFlex gives you that clean, modern, retail quality finish that you see in a lot of big brands. So here's a simple breakdown. DTG inks can absorb into the fabric a little more than DTFlex. It's soft and got a breathable feel. White underbase on dark garments, best for light cotton and maybe vintage looks, a little less vibrant on thicker or darker fabrics. DTFlex, transfer sits on top of the garment, so you always have bold, vibrant, high impact color, and works great on poly blends and heavy garments where higher poly content wouldn't work so well with the DTG. And DTFlex is way more durable over time. Neither is better across the board, but the truth is that the design and garment should dictate the print method, not the other way around. So like faded photo on a white cotton tee, DTG. Bold logo on a hoodie where you want the colors to pop, DTFlex. Both DTG and DTFlex absolutely have a place in print on demand, and knowing when to use each one is how you avoid washed out prints, unhappy customers, and returns you don't need. If you want to try DTFlex, it's already available in Printful's catalog on several products, with more being added on a regular basis. So check the link on the screen here or in the description to see what's available, and if this helped you, you know the drill. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.